Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of The Tin Man, in which I read the Bible. Um, my name is Ethan Zimmerman, I'm your host, and I'm going to start out with some housekeeping stuff. So, first off, thank you to everyone who watched or listened to the previous video, the previous episode. This is something that I do enjoy doing, and I would like to share with the world. In order to continue to share this with the world, I need support. I need this to be shared around. So, if you like the video, if you subscribe to the channel and everything, that really helps me out. Um, it will help me, expand everything here. And this is something that I do enjoy doing. It's something that I want to continue to do. And liking the video takes none of your time. Like you can do it while you're right here. Um, Same thing with subscribing, or even putting this on in the background whether you're doing something else like doing the dishes or something, listening to this like a podcast, or whether you're running to the store and you leave this on at home, just to give me more watch time. It does help me out, and it doesn't hurt you at all. It doesn't mess anything up with you. So if you could do that, that would be appreciated. Another thing is, I assume I'm probably going to be using my cat Loki again for the video for here. Um, if you want me to continue doing that, let me know down in the comments. But if you want me to change it, if you want me to uh, do a video where you can see my face as I'm talking and as I record this, I can do that too. Just let me know if there's anything that you want me to change, anything that you want me to do better. Um, I'm open to any kind of feedback. All right, so last week we read Genesis chapters 1 through 3. Today we're starting on chapter 4. Last time Adam and Eve got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And so that is where we're starting out. In Genesis chapter 4. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Okay, so she gave birth. Also, I am reading. Ooh, I bumped the mic there. I'm reading from KingsJamesBibleOnline.org, from their standard King James version. But yeah, so that's where I'm coming from. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain and his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. So Adam and Eve had sex. They bore Cain and Abel. Cain is a farmer, a gatherer. I don't know what the official term is for someone who tends an orchard, but he says bearing fruit. And then Abel is a shepherd, and he slaughtered some sheep as sacrifice, I guess, to the Lord. And Cain brought the fruit of the ground. So whether he's tilling the earth or picking berries or is at an orchard or whatever, they're both sacrificing things. But God only liked the newborn sheep that were slaughtered. He didn't like the fruit that was plucked. Does God have a taste for blood? Does he like? I don't understand why here in the way this is presented, they both were working the land, right? They were both doing their job, and they both gave an offering. I don't know why God chooses one over the other unless he likes blood. Like unless he likes sheep better, like sacrificing living animals versus plants. Um, which is interesting that like I remember like last week there were things that I had said where God doesn't seem to be very nice. Let's just put it that way. Um, all right. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Okay, yeah, so Cain got angry at God because he was like, hey, I did just the same thing that my brother did. It's just that I didn't, spill blood for this. Um, why do you support him over me with this? Uh, and then God said, If thou dost well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Now, I don't understand this. Like, God is saying, if you do well, you'll be accepted, and if you don't do well, then sin lies at the door. I don't understand why he's saying that Cain didn't do well. He did exactly what his brother did here. Like the only difference is that he did fruit rather than shepherd, like rather than sheep, right? He is a gardener, farmer of some sort, and Abel is a shepherd, and so Cain sacrificed fruit, plants, whatever it is, non-meat based food, while Abel sacrificed a sheep. I don't understand like the if you don't do well, sin lies at the door, when he did the exact same thing that his brother did. And the whole unto thee shall be his desire and thou shalt rule over him. I don't like this entire, I guess it's verse 7. Um, I'm not understanding the purpose of it in general, like the concepts behind it, unless I'm just missing the concepts entirely. They're not making sense to me here. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. So here, just in what is written, there's given no justification. I would assume that it's because God accepted Abel and not Cain, even though it's not Abel's fault. Like, if anything, Cain should kill God. Like, no, but if anyone's gonna get hurt out of this, it's not Abel that deserves this. Abel didn't do anything against Cain here. Cain didn't, like, it didn't seem like there was anything to provoke him. But then Cain killed Abel, his brother, in the field. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? So that's where that line comes from, I guess. I don't know why Cain is lying to God. Like, I'm sure that he heard stories from his parents, like Adam and Eve, about, God's all-knowing omnipotence, and stuff. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Okay, so if you're taking this literally, God is saying, I heard his voice, and his voice spoke to me. The voice of his blood spoke to me from the ground. Although I assume it's metaphorical, right? If you're not a literalist, it means I sensed injustice in the world, or whatever it was. I sense that there's an imbalance in the force, a disturbance in the force. And God continues here. Now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. So he's punishing Cain for killing Abel. I mean, I guess they did have the concept of death, at least to a certain extent, since Abel killed sheep or whatever, or whatever it was. But Cain, like, up until this point, there was no evidence that humans could die. Like, that was not something that he necessarily could have even thought of. So even if he got angry and struck his brother, he wouldn't necessarily know that it would kill him. For one thing, it does not seem necessarily like it was his intention. It seemed like they had a conversation, and in a fit of rage, he struck out. But God is punishing him for this, which is, I guess, understandable. But if you are not only unaware of the consequences, but unable to know the consequences, like if there's no way that he could have known what the consequences of this was, and he was punished for it, I don't know if that's exactly fair. Anyway. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face I shall be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And starting off there, he can only be killed once. It shouldn't be that every single person that finds him can kill him. But, I mean, his, I guess, complaint that his punishment is greater than he can bear sort of holds a little bit of merit. Like I said, if he it's unfair to punish someone when they had no way of knowing that what they were doing was wrong. It's not like there was some legal book that he should have looked at, right? This is something that, at least from what is written in the text, had never happened before in all of human history. If you're taking, the beginning of human history and all genetic diversity from Adam and Eve, but there is, like, whether or not it's greater than he can bear is not something that I can attest to. But where he's coming from is sort of understandable. Like, the same sort of no taxation without representation. Like, you can't be punished if you didn't know that what you were doing is wrong, and you didn't have a way to know that what you were doing was wrong. And the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken upon him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So God is saying, no one's killing you, because if someone kills you, then they're going to be punished 7 times. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. Okay, so he marked him in order to say, no one should kill you. Now, I've heard this said before. There are 2 places in the Bible, I believe, where there is mention of a mark that shall be passed down. And I guess this is the less one of these, because the other one mentions it actually being passed down throughout generations, while this one just says a mark upon Cain. But I've heard it used before that this mark is dark skin, is a mark of dark skin, and that's why black people exist. And I think that's horrible. I mean, like, saying that, because of this, all black people now are, they're descendants of the first murderer, right? Like, that's not a great look for anyone who's claiming that. And I can, there are many people who have said this. I know that a lot of times this is said more often from a different verse later on sometime in the Bible, but just the whole, this is a mark on someone and it shall be passed down, which I know it doesn't say here in this specific verse, which is why I think it alludes more to the whatever other verse it is. I'm sure we'll find it when we eventually come across it. But just the idea that this mark is dark skin and it thus justifies, racism or discrimination or like any kind of treatment towards anyone, like just on the basis of a mark, which it doesn't even mention what this mark is. It just says that there is a mark. It doesn't have any descriptions, whether it's, it could be dark skin, if it's like a legitimate brand, anything like that. There's no description of it, just besides finding a mark. And also it says, lest any finding him should kill him. As of yet, the only people in this world that the book has described at all are his mother and father and his brother, who he just killed, and him. The only 2 other people that would kill him would be his parents. Adam and Eve were the first people, according to the Bible, and it has only said that there's Cain and Abel, and Cain just killed Abel, and then he's worried about other people finding him and killing him. The only other people that would find him and kill him are his parents, unless there's some other kind of people here in this world, which I guess is where we're moving on here. And Cain knew and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Okay, so he's going to a different place that's not Eden, although they're no longer in Eden, I guess. And here it says, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Besides either this translation being wonky or the grammar just being terrible, it says builded there. He now has a wife. There are 3 options that I can see here. I guess 4, technically. So either his wife is his mom, because she's the only other woman in the entirety of the earth. So that's option one, right? Option two is he has sisters that they didn't mention. Option three is God created another woman, um, like he created Eve, I guess. Um, and option four is that there were already other people there. None of these options are good. Like, first off, the most likely option in this entire scenario is his wife being his mom, because there is no other mention of other people. And when you start inserting other people, that becomes an issue, I feel like. Um, whether or not you're just taking it literally, the addition of things that aren't written there, that's all speculation. It's not something that you can say concretely. So it's entirely speculation if you say that he has a sister, or that um, God created a wife, or that even that there were other people. The most likely thing is that it's his mom, because she's the only other person mentioned here, or it's his sister, which also isn't great, or there is some other people in this world that were again not mentioned, which may be an important distinction, mentioning that there are other people who exist here. Um, and then he builded a city. Uh, one man, he himself single-handedly built an entire city for his wife and his son. The three of them, they have a whole city. Let's see. Oh, it's just genealogy for the rest of this. Okay, here. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad beget Mehuel. I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of these. These seem like a lot of these are Hebrew names, and while I know that my own name is Hebrew, a lot of these are Middle Eastern Hebrew names that I will not necessarily be able to pronounce a lot of these. And I apologize for that. And Mehuel begat Methuselah, and Methuselah begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. Okay. Again, Cain's son had a son named Irad, and there is no mention of any other people here. Like the only people thus far strictly mentioned is Cain's mom slash possibly wife, and Cain's dad. There's also Cain's wife, who may be separate from his mom, but there is no distinction here, which means that Cain's son, Enoch, again, it's his sister, his mom, or I guess his grandmother, because there's no mention of other people. Like, if he said that he found a new group of people, that would be fine. There's no mention of this. These people are breeding with people out of thin air, people that don't exist. And then there's the whole Lamech is great grandson or whatever, however many generations down, having two wives, which polyamory is cool. Like if everyone's consenting, everyone's able to consent and everything, that's totally cool. What I assume is going to happen in the Bible and will continue to happen is it will only be men that are allowed to have multiple partners. Women will not, and that's not okay. There's not any kind of justification for that besides, ancient people seeing women as inferior, which is still only barely being addressed today. Like, there's still people who think that women shouldn't have the right to vote because they're too emotional, or shouldn't be in leading roles because apparently they have a period and they may start a war. How many wars have been started by women out of the entire history of the world? And Ada, Lamech's first wife, bare Jabal, and he was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. The wording in this document is terrible, and so I genuinely can't tell if it's just that the translation that I'm reading is utterly whack, or that it's just written very poorly. And his brother's name was Jubal, so we have Jabal and Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. Okay, so he is kind of cool. He's like music people. And Jabal, his brother, not Jubal, Jabal, uh, had tents, I guess, cattle, nomadic people, which is kind of cool. And Zillah, their stat like their dad's other wife. She also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Okay, so we have brass and iron being made already. We're in the Bronze Age, and he has a sister. See, okay, this whole thing that they finally mentioned a sister being born is so strange to me, because the entire rest of it, they're just saying that they have wives, they had sons, right? They don't mention any other sons, right? They don't mention any other daughters until here. They mention a daughter. Where are the people they're having children with coming from? Where are they? The only woman mentioned in the entirety rest of this thing is Cain's mom, is Eve. That's the only woman mentioned. Unless they're just completely omitting details that there were other people around, or whether they're saying that their own, children or whatever are their own daughters are not important enough to mention being born. Not to mention that their family tree at this point, if they're like marrying, I guess, their sisters, their family tree is a ladder at this point. It's not a tree. And then they finally have people who are starting to specialize in things like iron and nomadism and music, I guess. All right. And Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, Hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. Okay, so he just like walks up after having kids and says, yeah, I just killed a guy. He has slain a man to his wounding, and a young man to his hurt. So it seems like he killed a person, maybe two people. I don't know what the young man is, because these seem like two separate people. And then he says, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. So he wants to be avenged 77-fold. Okay, here, verse 25, we have, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God, she said, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And unto Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos, then began to call upon men in the name of the Lord. So throughout all of this, however many generations down, okay, so Cain had a son, Enoch. Enoch had a son, Irad. So this is already 3 generations removed from Adam and Eve. Irad beget Mehuel, Methuselah beget Lamech. So this is 6 generations, and then we have Jabal and Jubal and Tubal-Cain and Nehemiah. So this is 7 generations. After 7 generations, Adam and Eve bang again. and have a, like, it's so weird that she's mentioned here again, like, and then Seth also has a son. There's not enough information here for my liking. I do not. That's the end of the chapter. Very informative, as you can tell. We have a genealogy of people who are having children with no wives that are appearing out of, like, all the other people are mentioned to have children until the one guy who has 2 wives who suddenly have names, but none of the other people are mentioned. This is going to be a long book. We're on Genesis chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam. The day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female he created them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Now Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. And in the days of Adam, after he had begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. Okay, so they had Adam and Eve. And then, Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel. And then 130 years later, he had a son named Seth. And then after Seth, he lived 800 years in which he had sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. What? Why? Why? I. This does not make, like, he lived for 930 years, because this is definitely a reasonable length of time for life expectancy for someone when they're the only people living on the earth besides them and their children. That's definitely a reasonable life expectancy. This is ridiculous. People believe this, like, genuinely, word for word. They believe this. Even metaphorically, they think this is true, that someone lived for 900 years. What kind of metaphorical significance does that have? What? And Seth lived and Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. So he lived 105 years before having a kid. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. And Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. So it's just, oh my, this entire chapter is just, oh my. This is going to be fun. It's going to be very fun. Okay. Enos died, and Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalaleel. This is Mahallaleel. I can't pronounce that. I'm very sorry. And all of these people are first having children well after they should be dead. Like, life expectancy was not 70 years, 90 years, 130 years. Like, they should all be dead. This is not... When people tell me to read the Bible, right? When people, like, question why I'm not religious, right? This is not helping. This is not helping anything. People are reading this, and after reading this are like, still, yep, this checks out. This seems like the inspired word of God. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalaleel 840 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalaleel lived 65 years and begat Jared, and Mahalaleel after he begat Jared lived 830 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years and begat Enoch. Again, there's another Enoch. This is cool. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters, and all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah, and Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Okay, so he died soon after he walked with, okay. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. What does that sentence mean? And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. So after 365 years of walking with God, I guess, and pumping out babies along the way, God takes Enoch off of the earth. And Methuselah lived 807 years and begat Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 180 years and 2 years and begat a son. Oh my God. And he called his name Noah, saying, This name shall comfort us concerning our work and toils of our hands, because the ground of which the Lord hath cursed. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old. And Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, so I think we're at the Noah, like Noah's Ark Noah. This is ridiculous. There's a little button on the website that I'm reading this from that says, who are the two people in the Bible that never died? Adam and Jesus, Elijah and Enoch, Abraham and Moses, or Elijah and Elisha? As of yet, Adam died. There's been no Elijahs. We have not had an Abraham or Moses yet. Okay, I assume this is for later on in, like, Bible trivia, not chapter trivia. All right. This chapter was tedious and annoying and not fun at all. That was a bad chapter. I did not enjoy it. Yeah, this is the Noah chapter, like the Ark chapter. Okay. We're on chapter 6 of Genesis. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, and I'm putting this part in myself, solely by incest, it appears. Incest, or this one other group of people that may or may not have already existed. How, why do people, how? Why is this a thing? That the sons of God saw the daughters of man, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Okay, and so now he says, finally, we're giving a cutoff age of 120 years instead of, 937 or whatever. And there were giants in the earth those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of man, and they were bare children to them, that the same became mighty men, which were of old men, men of renown. None of this makes any sense. There were giants, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men. Oh, these are angels. These are like literal children of God, are boning humans and giving children. The same became mighty men, which were of old, of men of renown. So angels are coming down, having sex with human women, and making giants. What's the name of the Andre the Giant, the actor in Princess Bride? His dad was an angel, apparently. His dad was a son of God that came unto the daughters of man. Okay. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So, people are bad. Thank you, God, for making that, because you made people in your own image, right? And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth to me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah, and Noah was a just man, and perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth was also corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Okay, so people were violent and stuff. After living for 900 years, 800 years, 325 years. Those people are living longer than America has been a nation, right? They're living longer than Germany has been around. These people have been alive since, from what I'm speaking now, the 1100s. They've been alive since, if they were born at the end of the Viking Age, they would be alive now. 900 years. Nearly a century. And they're just having kids the whole time, I guess, because that's how genetic variation in the gene pool works. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without pitch. He's telling him to make a boat, which apparently has never been made before. It said they lived in Africa, right? Like they lived in the Middle East. These are places that don't have trees of gopher wood. They have to make a tree. What is gopher wood? Okay. He has to make a big boat out of gopher wood. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. If these are feet, this is a tiny boat. If these are meters, well, not a tiny boat, but like for the whole needing to get, every single species on it. Even if what I've heard from creationists, specifically like the Ken Ham Answers in Genesis version of creationists, is that, oh yes, evolution does happen, but it's only within kinds. Like birds, it's not birds, but like finches can beget other finches because that's of the same kind. But so instead of needing to get all the different species of finches, he only needed to get like the grandfather of all finches or whatever, and the grandfather of all different types of bees or flies or ants or whatever it is. Penguins and polar bears. Have fun getting those from the middle of the Middle East and fitting it into the completely modern, totally used measurement size of cubits. All right. A window shalt thou make into the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. Okay, so it has 3 stories. Each of them, if we're assuming cubit is a foot, because that's like 10 feet is the size of the average like story, at least in the US. So it's 300 by 50 feet, and it's 30 feet tall. Each of them have 3 stories with one window. A window shalt thou make into the ark, and a cubit shalt thou finish it above. So there's a 1 foot window, and there's one door in the ark, and it's 3 stories. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Okay, so he's bringing a flood. Is this flood rainwater or salt water? Because there are definitely fish still in the earth. They talked about fish in the second chapter of Genesis. He's not killing the fish. If his intent is to kill everything in the earth besides whatever's in the ark, he's not killing the fish. If he has salt water, it's killing all the freshwater fish, but none of the saltwater fish. If he's killing freshwater, he's killing all the saltwater fish, but not the freshwater fish. If you have them in mix, then he's killing everything except for like the marshy fish that swim in like deltas and stuff. Unless he just has the salt content so high that it just absolutely destroys all sea life. Besides, of course, the 2 of every kind that he needs to keep in the ark somehow. How are people literalists in the Bible? I don't understand. I don't I don't understand. But with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come unto the ark, thou, and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee, and every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, and keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Of the fowls of their kind, of the cattle of their kind, every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto me to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all the food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them. And thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. So he built a big boat and got 2 of every different kind, of all the different fowls, so all the different birds, species of birds, right? Like even if you go like general family, genus, you get all the different, lions, all the different. This is ridiculous. People cannot be. How do people take this seriously? He's putting all the sheep and all the different like wolves together, right? He has all the giraffes and the lions. He has the gazelles, and the tigers and the polar bears and the penguins and the kangaroos. And okay, I guess technically here he's not talking about sea life, but he talks about creeping things. So he's getting all the different spiders, or even like the 2 spiders, male and female, which he can definitely tell. Um, getting a male and female spider, as well as bats, which definitely aren't eating the spiders and aren't eating the flies or the any other type of insect that are there, right? And it says, take unto thee all the food that is eaten, all the food in the world, you're taking it. But so much of the food is other animals that they're eating. This, oh, how, why? People genuinely believe this. We're on Genesis chapter 7. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for I have seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and the female, and of the beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. So he's taking 7 of all the clean beasts and 2 of all the not clean beasts. Is this just like whether or not they've bathed? Or like, what does it mean by clean? What does it mean by clean? Of fowls of the air, also by sevens, the male and the female, to keep the seed alive upon the face of all the earth. Yet for 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth, 40 days and 40 nights. For every living substance that I have made, I will destroy from off the face of the earth. Okay, so God is all powerful, right? Like he created. He, at least, if even if not all powerful, he has the power to create humanity from nothing. He has the power to recreate the entire world. He has the power to banish people, to curse them, to mark them, to make it so that snakes fight men, or whatever it was happened in Genesis chapter 3. He has fiery swords and stuff. Like instead of flooding the entire population of the earth, including, as everyone is so worried about, oh, the women and children, he's murdering infants here. He's committing mass genocide. And if it was because the world is full of sin and evil and wickedness, he should be doing it again now, because I can, like, the world now, even though I think the concept of sin is horrid, it's not perfect, right? The world that we live in now, there's definitely issues. And if he's just like genociding things because they're wicked, because there's violence, that's what it said. There's violence. If he wants to factory reset everything, he does not need to do it himself in a violent way. He could, snap his fingers like Thanos, make them all disappear. He could create another world, right? He'd maybe even do it in less than 7 days now because he's had some practice. Like, he does not need to violently flood every living thing. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord had commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives went with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of clean beasts, and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month. In the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and windows of heaven were opened. We could probably math all of this. Like, we could tell. There's an entire branch of theology dedicated to genealogy and dating the age of the earth, which is why it comes out to the 600 years. Because if you take the 900 years and the other 100 years, whatever it was, 900, 700, 800, 300, 500 years, right? You can add all of that up and get an age, because it tells you when they had their first kid. They were 70, they were 90, they were 130. You can tell the exact time. There was the one person, the old, I think he was Catholic, but it happened in the medieval period, where he predicted the time that Earth was created down to the minute. It was in Good Omens, actually. Has David Tennant in it. That was very good. I enjoyed that show. High quality. I need to read the books, actually, still. Something that I need to get onto. But he like predicted it down to the second. It was like May 17th of a certain year at like 3:45 p.m. was the time that the Earth was created, because of all the Bible math. And then it all flooded because there was enough rain to cover the entire world. And the rain was upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And the selfsame day entered Noah, and Shem, and Ham, and Josepheth, and the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, into the ark. And they, and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, and every bird of every sort. And they went unto Noah's. Let me try this again. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. So the Lord closes the door to the ark with all the animals in there. I need to put the info card in here about. I have to find it. It's well known. There's this Australian guy, I guess, that has this animatic about all the contradictions in the Bible. I think it is, and he has this like skit, I guess, about Noah and Noah's Ark and everything. I'll put the info card up now around here-ish if I remember and can actually find it. Anyway, here we go. I scrolled down because I lost it. Let's see. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lift above the earth. And the waters prevailed, and they were increased greatly upon the earth. And the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. Okay. Earlier, we kind of guessed that cubits were like a foot. Because, if we're going just by like housing standards, 10 feet is about the size of an average story in a building. It says that the mountains are 15 cubits tall. The ark itself is taller than that. The ark itself is twice as tall as the mountains that are being covered. 15 cubits. It says 15 cubits here. Last time, the previous chapter, we're going back. Blah, 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 blah. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, and the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. The height is 30 cubits. Whatever a cubit is, the height is 30 of them. And here it says, 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. The mountains were covered under 15 cubits. Either the Himalaya is 15 cubits, and the ark is twice the size of the Himalaya, or the mountains are just really short. I don't know. What is it? How? Why? This is painful. This is painful. All right. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beasts and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died. He's committing mass genocide. And every living substance was destroyed, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and only Noah remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Okay, we're going to do one more chapter. This one's kind of short. It's 22 things. We're on Genesis chapter 8 here. And God remembered Noah and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters were assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from the heavens was restrained, and the waters returned from the earth continually. And after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated. Wait. It says over here, so for 7 days he causes it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. It says, so it's raining for 40 days and 40 nights. What is the 7 days bit? This is back in Genesis chapter 7, verse 4. Yet for 7 days, and let's go to chapter 3 to get the whole sentence here. Of fowls of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep the seed alive upon the face of the earth. period, end of verse 3, verse 4. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. What is it? What's the week for? And then it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. And then here it talks about the end of 150 days, the waters are like, it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. And then he's on there for another 150 days. And the ark rested upon the 7th month, on the 7th day of the 7th month, upon the mountains of Arat. I don't... He has enough food in there for himself, his family, and all the animals in there. All the different kinds of animals, all the different types of food they need. For 7 months and 17 days. Pre-refrigeration. This is one that... I got to admit, I'm a Christian now. I wholly believe in every single word of the Bible. Like, you can't go wrong with that. The waters decreased continually unto the 10th month, and the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. So it was resting above the mountains, and then, 3 months later, then finally were the mountains seen, and then another 40 days, he opened the window of the ark. I'm just paraphrasing here, this is verse 6. And he set forth the raven, which looked around and saw that the waters were not on the earth anymore, and then he sent a dove forth to see if the waters were not on the earth. And the dove found... Okay, let me go back to reading this instead of just paraphrasing everything. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, and the waters were the face of the earth. No, but they said the mountains were exposed. There's ground there. And he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her unto him into the ark. And he stayed for another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off, so no one knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. This is genuinely so ridiculous. I cannot get over how stupid this is. It was just flooded for like a year nearly, right? And the dove goes off and finds an olive leaf from an olive tree. There's an olive tree that is alive, that wasn't drowned under nearly a year of water. And there's a leaf on it that she's just able to, bring back over from an olive tree. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, upon the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up from the earth, and it removed the covering of the ark, and it looked, behold, the face of the ground was dry. Okay, so an entire year, the earth was drowned. And the dove was, like, finding, oh, this entire thing is so stupid. The dove found, like, an olive leaf or whatever. The dove still had to eat stuff. There's no... Bury grass for a year. Put grass for a year in a container for a year. See if the grass is still alive. Put a berry tree there. What is this dove eating? Oh my god. Where's the water draining to? Where? Is the water evaporating? You know that the water cycle exists. The water goes back up into the air, and then, whoa, look, it would definitely be raining again if there was that much freaking water. Where's the water going? Where is it draining to? Oh, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. And in the 2nd month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, the earth was dried, and God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons, and the sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Why is it creepeth thing that creepeth? Why do they... Why did I decide to do this to myself? that they may breed abundantly upon the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wives, and his sons' wives with him, and every beast and every creeping thing and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth after their kinds went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and burnt offerings on the altar. Wait, so this this seems right. I'm just saying. This seems like this happened directly afterwards. They went forth out of the ark, and then he built an altar, and then he burnt offerings of the living. There's only two of them. What? It does not give you any time. It just says they went forth. It just says they left the ark, and then he built an altar, and then he killed them. He killed one of the two, at least one of the two. This is so dumb. I can't. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, because he likes blood and burning flesh. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. The end of Genesis chapter 8. Next week, we'll start with Genesis chapter 9. That was terrible. That was horrible. Why? How do people believe this? If you've made it this far, thank you. Welcome. Hello. I love you. You're great. Thank you for making it this far. It means a lot, like genuinely, even if it's on 2x speed, you blast through it. It means a lot to me. Thank you for being here. Hi. Okay, so again, if you actually made it here, thank you. Please, if you suffered through an hour of my voice shouting at stupidity, consider, leaving a like, subscribing. It means a lot to me. If you just play the video all the way through, consider doing it. Share this with your friends. If this is something you enjoyed, let me know. Please let me know. If you want to see some other video other than just a cat on the screen, she's very cute. But if you'd rather see my face and potentially see the live moving cat herself, I can do that. Let me know. Yeah, please, down in the comments, leave any kind of reviews. If you think that this was as utterly stupid as I did, please let me know that I'm not alone. Because, that it was, this is very fun. This is my very professional ending, by the way. I've been your host, Ethan Zimmerman. This has been I Read the Bible from the Tin Man Show. Join me again next week. If you want video, give me an excuse to clean my room and make it presentable, and I'll do video. I'll show you my face. Most of you probably already know it, since at this point it's just my friends who've seen this. But if you want to see me talking and see the expressions of pain on my face, let me know down in the comments. And oh, I'm very sorry. My hair was on the microphone. Sorry about that. Oh. All right, yeah, this is if you want me to do this more often, this is going to be as of now just once a week, but if you want me to try and do this more often, I can try and do this twice a week, get through this a little bit faster, have my suffering more often, but cut shorter on the overall time. Hey, I love you. Thank you for making it this far. You're great. Means a lot to me, genuinely. Thank you. This is this has been episode 2 of the Tin Man Show. See ya.